Okay, so our presentation is on the Japanese R and L. I'm Sarah.
Diana. Alex.
Okay, so our student learning outcomes, what we want you guys to learn in this presentation is that students will understand the differences in Japanese and English R and L productions. Students will learn specific instrumentation used to identify English R and L productions in speakers whose L1 is not English. And students will learn techniques and strategies for treating Japanese R and L production and perception.
So our client is Hoshimaki, and he is 22 years old, and his reason for being referred was that he is becoming an actor and wants to modify his accent so he can get jobs.
Okay. So our diagnosis is an articulation difference rather than a disorder. It is common for Japanese speakers to substitute the Japanese flap, which is ya or wa, for R and L for both perception and production in English. The Japanese flap can be distinguished as a combination of both the English R and L, and thus it may interfere with attempts to acquire L2 categories. And it's also important to know that Japanese speakers have a more difficult time with perception rather than production.
And going on about the articulation difference, the Japanese flap is portrayed as a significant difference from English R. It has much higher F3 and F2. And the acquisition of English R by Japanese learners is said to be one of the most challenging tasks of L2 language learning.
So our treatment for this type of therapy would be speech sound training procedures have been proven as beneficial for second language learners. So the first step in treatment would be to assess the current production so you can see where the client is at. And you can do this by using WaveSurfer or the new palletometer instrumentation.
Which is exactly what we would plan to do during our treatment. We would use the new palletometer to see what's going on in our client's mouth. And we have a little YouTube video. Just bear with me.
Hi, my name is Andy May, and I'm here with Complete Speech. We're at Ashton in New Orleans demonstrating our new palletometer system. So the palletometer is a device that aids the speech pathologist in demonstrating what's going on inside the mouth. Where is the tongue touching the palate? As you can see in the display here, the blue dots represent what's going on inside of my mouth. If you've ever tried to show someone where an R is produced, it's as easy as saying, See that the green circles represent a target R pattern. The blue dots represent my R production.
So I know we talked about that one in class, and Dr. Berkowitz said it's really expensive. So in a perfect world, that's what we would use. But in addition to the new palletometer, we would also be able to use WaveSurfer just by demonstrating our sample R and L productions. This was our R recordings, and then showing them their R recordings and showing them how the formants are different. And in their Japanese L and R, we'll see the formants a lot higher in F2 and F3 than our English R and L. So that's another way we can show them a little bit more realistic than the new palletometer. But we thought the new palletometer would be really cool to use too.
That's just the L.
And then this is the L.
So we would also do a discrimination test, which would be having them listen to minimal pairs and say the difference, for example, right and light, and they would have to say that one was with an R and that one was with an L. And you would also use WaveSurfer to hear and see the differences in these.
So for our lesson plan, one of our procedures would be the production of L. And we thought it would be a good idea to use peanut butter and put it on their alveolar ridge. And have them place their tongue on the alveolar ridge and touch the peanut butter to produce the L. And then we would use tactile cues. So they would go. Oh.
And then she wasn't holding it long enough, then continue to stroke the arm.
Oh. Just like that.
And then to elicit the R phoneme, we could use a tongue bowl. So what you do is you put an M&M in the middle of that tongue bowl, and you teach them that they need to lift their tongue up and protect the M&M. So you have the M&M in the back of their tongue, and it's a really great technique to elicit that R sound. And you say, protect that bowl, protect the M&M, lift the tongue up, 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 lift the sides, pull that tongue back. And these are just ways to elicit the L and R, which is what we would be doing during our first lesson with them. These are our questions. And then we have our questions now. How can we use WaveSurfer to show the difference in R and L production in Japanese and English speakers?
Yes. And there's one more. What instrumentation could be used to view the articulatory production for the R and L phonemes?
D.
Great, good. And those are our references. Great, thank you.